first 15 Godzilla movies from 1954 to 1975 are labeled as the Showa series, named after the Japanese emperor that was in office at the time, Emperor Showa, but outside of Japan he was referred to as Hirohito. Don't ask why. For me personally, the Showa series rules over the other Kaiju Godzilla series. They're just so classic. Each film, no matter the level of quality, possesses a unique charm that always lures you back to watch them again. And though there are some films I prefer over others, there's not one film in the Showa series that I don't like or would label as bad. But I'm not so sure about the next Godzilla film in the series, Godzilla 1984, or known in the US as The Return of Godzilla. Godzilla was on a 10-year hiatus after Terror of Mechagodzilla, and for his 30th anniversary, they decided to bring him back. Unfortunately, us Americans had to wait another 30 years to see this film! The original uncut Japanese version, that is, which was finally released by Kraken Releasing on September 2016. The version everyone was familiar with in the US on VHS is the very heavily re-edited Americanized version. However, this Americanized version is not on the Kraken Releasing DVD. Also, like how Godzilla was heavy with post-World War II and nuclear war subtext, so is Godzilla 1984, dealing with the stressful Cold War that was plaguing the world at the time. In the original version, neither the US or the USSR are portrayed in a bad light, and are actually on benevolent terms with one another, at least when it comes to agreeing on how to take action against Godzilla and pressuring Japan into letting them do what they want. But wouldn't you know, in the Americanized version, it's re-edited so those dang commies are super bad. Of course. One part I remember in particular is, in the original, a USSR nuclear warhead is accidentally released due to a malfunction caused by Godzilla. A naval officer tries to prevent it from being released, but dies in the process. But in the Americanized version, it's re-edited to look like this same naval officer maliciously sends the nuclear warhead because, why else? They're commies! I wonder how it would have all played out if Japan filmed the Americans doing this instead. How would that have been re-edited for American audiences? As for the original 1984 film, it's a direct sequel to the original Godzilla, reinstating his antagonistic roots and ignoring all other Godzilla films in between. And Godzilla's been given a new look. Going back to the Showa series, nearly every film had a different suit, and on numerous occasions older suits were used in water scenes to prevent damage to the new suits. For example, in Mothra vs. Godzilla, at the end when Godzilla's rolling off the cliff all wrapped up in silk, that's actually the suit from King Kong vs. Godzilla. I never knew that. That's so crafty. Later on, not so crafty, as the budget and time to make these films were more restrained. They got lazy. It'd be pretty obvious when a different Godzilla suit was being used, especially when it's shameless stock footage. I think my favorite Godzilla suit has to be from the two Mechagodzilla films. He's got a good guy persona to him, but looks badass and pissed off, like he's ready to throw it down because you're meddling on his turf. How dare you interfere with humans? So tough! However, with this new Godzilla look, I don't know, I think it's the eyes. They try to make him evil looking, but he appears disinterested and bored. He moves extremely slow, and half the time he isn't even moving! There's nothing really much to say, just that Godzilla himself reflects the film's overall tone. Mundane and lifeless. It is sad for me to say, waiting for 30 years for this movie to come out, and if you have strong nostalgic ties to the Americanized version, I can never hold that against anybody. But for me, this is by far my least favorite Godzilla movie. Oh yeah, by far.